Since the 1950s and 1960s, Australians have believed in owning property as the Australian dream. In the 21st century, creating real wealth and financial prosperity through property investment is the future. Welcome to the Great Australian Dream. Alright, so welcome to another episode of the Great Australian Dream. I'm Greg Paul from Wealth for Life TV, and today I have with me Dale Carroll. Dale's an experienced investor, and I've brought him in to talk to you about his experience and maybe some advice that he can offer you in terms of your investments. Welcome to the show, Dale.
Thanks, Greg.
Alright, so tell me, give us a bit of an introduction to yourself and the way you've invested and some advice for our viewers.
Sure. Look, I think that I'm probably no different to the average Australian person. Lacking in me time. I think we're all working very hard. We're running around on weekends with kids, taking them to and fro sporting events and all things like that. And that leaves us with very little me time to plan our finances and make important decisions, because life is busy and that's the way it is. We probably don't even have enough time to see our friends and family as much as we'd like to. So it's an interesting thing, because I was able to amass about 21 properties through purchasing back in just prior to the last recession, which was the recession was in last recession we had in Australia was 1990. Started in September 1990 and went to September 1991. So that recession only lasted 12 months. And prior to that recession, I worked out, which was in 1989, I owned 21 properties. And what I did was I just purchased apartments. I bought them in Elwood, in St Kilda, Caulfield and Bentley were the areas that I owned those apartments, and I bought them over a period of time. And they were purchased, when I say own them, I borrowed from the bank, and it was approximately around about 70% LVR, and the rest was equity. And that equity I got from working hard. So basically I worked hard, saved the equity, and then I purchased the real estate. And then I saw that recession coming. I knew that was happening. I could see it, I could feel it. Having the pulse and my feet on the ground at the time, I could see that recession was coming. And I'm telling you this story because it's quite interesting, because I decided to sell the whole 21 apartments prior to the recession, because I thought, hang on, there's going to be a big dive in property prices and they'll go down in value. So I did. I sold the 21 properties, and I sold them for very good prices and got out just before the recession occurred. What did I do with that money? I went and bought an acre in Templestowe. And what motivated me in that decision, other than the fact that prices were coming down, was that the family basically said to me, well, Dale, you're always working hard and you're always investing, but what about some lifestyle? What about enjoying some lifestyle? So we bought an acre in Templestowe. We built a 70 square house on the acre with in-ground swimming pool, tennis court, gym, spa, the whole shooting match. And the interesting part was that that recession only lasted 12 months, and at that time the unemployment rate was 10.3%. That's a high unemployment rate. The employment rate today is 5.3%. At that time, interest rates were 9.9% borrowing to 10.19% borrowing. Today, they're now dropped to, I think we're borrowing at 3.8%. So quite interesting in different times. And those prices of the apartments that I sold did go down in value. They dropped down in value, and I thought, right, I've made the right decision. But 2 years later, after that recession, the prices went right back up and past what I sold them for. So I thought, wow, that taught me. And when you say I'm an experienced property investor, I make mistakes just like everybody. So I'm not foreign to that. When we purchase a property, we're always mindful that maybe we're paying too much for the property at the time. We're always mindful, can we afford it? Can we afford the loan repayments? But I can tell you that that's natural. I still experience those emotions today. The important thing is that when you do make the commitment, you make it work, and you do. For somehow or other, you make it work, and then it all becomes comfortable, and you do it again and then again and again. So going back to where I was saying, so what that taught me with that recession is that yes, I sold out at a good price, but 2 years later, the prices went back up past what I sold it for. And good luck to the people who bought from me, because they were in front and prices just kept going up and going up. So I suppose the moral of the story in that regard is that you really should hold, because I've bought and sold and bought and sold and bought and sold, and whilst I've been happy with the prices I've sold at the time, they've always gone up and gone up and gone up. And if I had have held onto those properties today, I would have a lot more money and equity and capital than I do. And I'm not complaining, because they were decisions I made and they were good at the time. But it really is important that people take a long-term view of holding onto property, because you'll make more money that way.
$300,000 in 14 months. $200,000 passive income for the rest of your life when you stop working. $200,000 in capital growth over a 2-year period. These are some of the results that our clients have achieved over the last 12 months. We're going to be running some special events in a town, in a city near you over the coming weeks, called An Evening with Wealth for Life. Get in the market right now and take advantage of the ride that's about to take place. Go onto our website or call us on 1300 793 877 and make a time to book in and come to one of these events.
Cool. So in the beginning, Dale, what was your reason, and why did you decide to get into property investing as a solution?
Oh, look, it's the way to build capital growth. It's the way to build and make money. There's no doubt about it. I mean, when your money's sitting in the bank and you're paying interest on you get interest on the money that sits in the bank, but then you've got to pay tax on it. The way that it's structured today, with negatively gearing, if you're working hard and you're earning good income, you can offset your investments against your income. So it makes sense. It makes sense to invest in property, and traditionally you can see that the wealthiest people in the world have built their wealth through investing in property, and you need to for retirement purposes.
Number one, you want to know how to pay off the mortgage on your home in the fastest possible way. How about understanding and learning how you can become debt-free forever? Imagine paying less tax and having more money going to your pay packet every fortnight. What about securing your financial future in your retirement so you never have to worry and stress about money ever again? These are the things that we go through with you in a one-on-one consultation. Some of the results that we've achieved for our clients by sitting down with us one-on-one, we had one couple who created $300,000 in 14 months. We had another gentleman who's gone on to amass a fortune in real estate that's going to pay him $200,000 per annum for the rest of his life when he stops working. These are just some of the things that come out by sitting down with our advisors in a one-on-one consultation. Get your goal planning and you get your financial planning and your goal setting right in 2019. Take advantage of the tremendous opportunities that exist in the Australian property market right now. Call 1300 793 877 or visit wealthforlife.com.au and book an appointment in with one of our investment advisors to get your money right in 2019.
So all along the way there would have been certain professionals or certain expertise you needed to help you make the right decisions, like conveyancers, mortgage brokers, whatever, right? And how did you know how to get that expertise, and how did you know how to get that help for you when you needed it?
Look, that's probably for me, because I had my roots in real estate. I suppose it's fair to say that I had a bit of a head start. But look, I'm no different to anyone else in that, you know, you when you make the decision that you want to do something, ideally it's always nice to buy into an area that you actually would probably like to live in yourself, but that's not always the case because some people are restricted by funds available to them and can't do that. You know, you just do your research and just buy as best as you can, you know, in the areas that you like.
Is it a good time to get into investing right now?
Look, I think it is, and there are a number of reasons for that, and the two reasons that everybody tells you, but I'm going to give you some more compelling reasons, and I've jotted some notes down, but for that, but you know, we're talking about very low interest rates, ridiculously low interest rates, to the point that you can't keep your money in the bank because you just can't get any return. Your money's sitting in the bank. In actual fact, I can't recall interest rates being this low in all my time. This is the lowest I've seen them. Like I said to you, back in 1980s, when I was buying all my apartments at the time, we were paying interest rates around 9-10%. You know, and that was the loan rate. So that's one reason why the interest rates are low. The other reason is, well, it's good timing because we've had a correction. We've had approximately a 15 to 20% adjustment in prices, and whilst we can never pick the bottom, I think that's a pretty good start. That prices have already come back. They've been adjusted. There's no recession going on here. The economy is really strong, and these are the notes and these are the compelling reasons. If I can just, if you don't mind, I've written down some things that are really important to what's happening in Australia today. One of them is population growth, and Australia is committed to bringing 20 million new migrants to double the population from the current figure of 25.5 million. So population drives demand. So that's a huge growth, you know, 25.5 million to a population of 50 million. Now they've committed to that. So that's a big...
It's a lot of housing.
That's a lot of housing. And population drives demand, there's no doubt about that.
Absolutely.
The other thing is that Australia is one of the safest places to invest worldwide. Now you might not know that, but it's in the top 10 in the world for foreign investment capital inflows. Okay? So 850 billion was invested into Australia in 2018. Now many governments and sovereign funds from around the world are investing their money into Australia. Now why would they be doing that? You know?
It's a good opportunity.
You know, they're investing it because Australia is a safe country to invest in. It's a good country to invest in. So, and you probably don't know the answer to this because I didn't, but if I asked you which countries do you think are the biggest investors of their capital into Australia, which countries would you say?
I would have said China.
Correct, that's what I would have said too. I would have said China. Number 1 is USA. Number 2 is the UK.
Wow.
Number 3 is Belgium. Number 4 is Hong Kong. Number 5 is Singapore. Number 6 is Luxembourg. Number 7 is the Netherlands. Number 8 is China.
Wow.
And number 9 is Switzerland.
Cool.
So they are investing their sovereign funds and their money from their countries into Australia. So, and one of the other important things is there is huge, which we all know because it's in the papers every day, there's huge infrastructure spending going on. Australia has committed to $100 billion worth of funds over the next 10 years in infrastructure. Now that's an awful lot of money. So if you follow the infrastructure, you follow the stations, you can't go wrong. You know, it's a really compelling, good reason. Now the other thing also is that, and this is firstly and little known by most people, per square metre, the rates of Australian property are amongst the lowest in the world. So rent returns are also amongst the highest in the world. Okay, so our rent returns, just to repeat, our rent returns are amongst the highest in the world, and our rates per square metre for buying property is up there in the lowest. So I ask you the question again, right? Because this one, if I was to ask you, which countries in the world do you think has got the highest values or the highest property prices, which would you say? Or cities?
Cities?
Yeah, which would you say?
Based on my experience, I would say I know Auckland is very high. I would have said Sydney is very high.
Outside of Australia?
Hong Kong, I know is very high.
Yeah.
Singapore and Tokyo.
Okay, all right. Well, number one is London.
Okay.
Highest rate per square metre of real estate in the world. Followed by Hong Kong, so you were close.
Yep.
Third was New York. Fourth is Tokyo. Fifth is Paris. Now, where does Sydney and Melbourne sit in that? Sydney is 11th and Melbourne is 18th. So that tells me that we've got a lot of upside in property. And also, of course, the tax laws. Home ownership is encouraged by the Australian government with the way the tax structure is. So there's some pretty compelling good reasons why we should buy property. Simple as that. It's a good investment, and I've already told you that, you know, if I had have held on to some of this real estate that I'd bought, I'd have a lot more money today. I'm not complaining, but there's no doubt that over a period of time, and with all the things or the compelling things that are happening in Australia, it's the way to go. You've got to do it.
Cool. All right. So it's good to hear that you're very enthusiastic about the Australian market. That, you know, the other interesting thing that I personally get from that is that knowledge is really, really key. So if you're going to be investing and you're going to be building your future and creating your future, you need to actually go out and get educated, or where you don't have all the knowledge, is go and get people that do, that can help you. So obviously, you know, we're trying to create wealth. We create Wealth for Life TV as an opportunity for you to get access to people like Dale and get information that's going to help you. And our experts are here to talk to you, so give us a call at any time and we can help you out. But in the meantime, thanks for listening to this week's episode, and we'll see you next week on The Great Australian Dream.